Hello and welcome to the State of SEO in 2020. I'm David Hood here with Digital Domination Dojo, and I have got a really high-level SEO video here that I think will have some unique things in it that most people don't talk about, but that I think are really important for actually ranking. And this is based upon, as I'm going to talk about, I'll skip ahead real quick, it's based upon real data. Not based upon what I think should be true and what Google says is true, what sounds good, what other people are regurgitating out there. This is based upon tons and tons of testing data, mostly from me and then from some other people that I know that are doing pretty scientific testing out there. So really quick about me and Digital Domination Dojo. I've been doing SEO since 2009 and then full-time since 2012. I've been doing SEO. And I've been my main agency website. I've been ranking on the first page since 2013. Right now I'm number one for Dallas SEO with my Dallas SEO Geek brand. You can go search yourself, at least at the time of shooting this. And I've been high on the first page there probably since about 2016, which is a really competitive search phrase. And I'm pretty proud of it. It's not the only number one I've gotten, but it's something that I own completely. I did all by myself. I created completely from scratch, and that has made me a lot of money. I do consider myself a Maps SEO specialist. Not that that's all I do, but it is a huge focus. A lot of my clients are local businesses, and Maps is super, super important. It's only become more important over time, as I'm going to talk about in a few minutes, which I think will be really useful because there's a lot of misunderstandings about how to rank in the maps. There's a lot of old school thinking that was true 5 years ago that is just flat out false today, or just not really very helpful or wholly incomplete. So I'm not trying to brag here. I'm just trying to give you some context of I've actually been in this business and I've actually earned money, and I'm not just someone who is regurgitating what other people say. I'm actually talking about my real experiences in this industry. Basically, I've been full-time since 2013, and I've got about a total of, it's a rough estimate, maybe down to the dollar, a little over $2 million. It just passed this mark in early January of 2020, and that's earnings. And about 85% of it is client SEO services. So most of my money has come from actually people paying me to do SEO for their business. So this is a huge focus. The agency model is a huge focus for Digital Domination Dojo and for myself personally, because it's where I've tried a bunch of different stuff and I haven't really been wildly successful with other things. There are some other things that I have been more successful with over the last couple of years, but long-term client work has been my bread and butter that has been really consistent over the years. Lately, the last several months, if you look at the last 6 months, I don't know what my average is, but I think it's usually between $30,000 a month and $60,000 a month, which is good. Some people might be like, wow, that's fantastic, and other people might be like, so what? I think it's pretty good. It's enough to live a really good life for me and my family. So why, a really big question that I get a lot is so why would you teach this? Why aren't you, it's kind of a cynical, but I'm okay with skepticism, with a skeptical look at okay, why would you teach this to me? I'm a big believer in personal development, and one of the biggest names in that is Jim Rohn. So if you don't know who he is, look him up. If you do, good for you. He's got some really great stuff out there. I don't necessarily agree with everything, but there's a lot of really good philosophies that can help you live a better life. Okay, and one of his philosophies is study, practice, teach. And I have been studying and practicing for a very long time, and I enjoy teaching. I enjoy helping other people. And when I get other people, which I have quite a few people who have come to me and been like, you help me make $10,000 a month or something like that, or you help me with a client ranking a website or something like that. It makes me feel really great. Now, I do charge for there's some portion of the teaching that's free and some portion of the teaching that's paid, so that I can actually put more energy into the teaching and make money off of it. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And then this is kind of, the result of this is Digital Domination Dojo. The brand behind that's kind of, this video should be under. Recently, Michael Johnson joined the Digital Domination Dojo team. There's quite a few reasons for this. There's a lot of skills that he has and experiences. He's actually that is useful to me, and then also useful to the members and the people in the community, in the Digital Domination Dojo community. He's been doing like SEO, I think since like 2003, much longer than me, and been providing services, digital marketing services for a very long time. He's very well, knows a lot, and he fills a couple of holes that in terms of experience, that I did not have, and that while I feel confident that I could develop it if I want to do the focus, it just enabled me to focus more on the things that I really wanted to focus on, the things that I think that were my current experiences were best put towards for myself, along with for members of the community. So he is a full partner on Digital Domination Dojo, so feel free to, if he says something, I feel like, he doesn't talk out of his ass. He really knows what he's talking about, and if he doesn't know about something, he won't talk about it, which is great, which is something I really like. So if he says something, go ahead and take it. I would say go ahead and take it as being true. And he's a total badass anyway, which is why I'm happy to have him on the team. Okay, so let's go to Google's algorithm. So first of all, I think that they like where their algorithm is. There's kind of this, I want to talk about my SEO chaos theory. There's all these people, and I get this a lot from clients who kind of have read a few articles that like SEO is always changing, you have to stay up to date all the time. And I think that's total bullshit. Really, the fundamental changes to Google's algorithm, there's only been a handful in the last 10 years. Or really over the course of all of Google's existence. There's really maybe 5-ish major changes, less than 10, more than 3, that you could say, okay, significantly changed the way that their algorithm worked. Okay, this is a huge myth that you just have to constantly stay up to date. So number one, it's not, the core fundamentals are not changing that much. There is a little bit of an exception right now, and I mentioned it before, maps. I'm going to talk a little bit more about it in a second. But they like where it's at, and so I don't see massive changes. There are some things that I'm going to mention in a second, but overall, if you can rank now and you understand Google's algorithm now, I think that you can understand it into the future, well into the future. Also, I want to point out that SEO is here to stay. I think that people will be searching the database of human knowledge for the rest of our lives. And your ability to put your business or somebody else's business in front of the people searching that is an extremely valuable skill to learn. And it's going to be around 20 years. How many jobs that are here today can you say will be around for the next 20 years? I don't think there's very many. There's a lot that are going to go away. Maybe 50% of the jobs at best are going to be here, or that you can count on to be here for the next 20 years. And so I think there will always be a need for this kind of service, even if it's not Google, even if it's if Yahoo for some reason takes up all the Google's market share for whatever reason. It's fine. That's totally fine. You just adjust, and a lot of the fundamentals are the same, and and you can still, I'll be totally fine. In fact, I'll look at it more as an opportunity. So any change that there actually is an opportunity to actually put your mind and testing, to the test, so to speak. Anyway, so I actually want to go back to this because I mentioned it there. I do a lot of testing, and there's only a handful of people that I really listen to what they say, because I know that they based upon real data. They're not basing it upon this article that they read or this press release by Google or whatever. They're basing it upon, hey, I tried this and this happened, and I did it 20 times here, and I did this other thing 30 times here, and I did this other thing 50 times here, and I put all the data together, and I have a lot of data to look at and to make a more statistically significant estimate, as opposed to maybe some people, they have one case study, they rank one website, and they're like, hey, this is how you do SEO. No, I have hundreds or thousands of different sites I've worked on and ranked. All right? And some that I've worked on that haven't ranked. And so I have a lot of data both ways. Okay, so I have 4 buckets that I put SEO into, and you can kind of mix these up, or not mix them up. You can kind of take some of these and maybe create another bucket, but I like to put it in 4 buckets. Now, like for example, keyword research, I put it under OnPage, even though it could probably be its own bucket, and because it's super important, but at the same time, it's heavily related to OnPage. And when I price it out for clients, I typically will put the OnPage the keyword research and the on-page is kind of like one bucket of work, because the direct result of keyword research is what happens on your site. Now, it does affect other parts of SEO, but anyway. So engagement is a super critical part of their algorithm, and ultimately is the end result of what they want their visitors, the searchers, their customers in a way, their market to get. So they will judge whether or not their searchers are getting what they want by engagement. And typically I think the best metric for this is like time on site. I don't think bounce rate is very useful, and I would judge it more by time on site. And I know for a fact, because I have a case study that proves it, that they do this on a keyword by keyword basis. So you can have one keyword where you're really engaging and another keyword where you're not really engaging. And if you've got a really good engagement metrics, then that is going to really, really help you. If you have really poor engagement metrics, you're pretty much never going to be stay ranking at the top, no matter how much you do, how well you do in all the other areas. Yeah, you can probably, for some keywords, you can probably get away with it, but for anything of level of competition or where your competition has engagement down well, you're gonna struggle. And one of the easiest ways to do this is with YouTube videos. The video that I'm shooting right now, video is the most engaging form of content, and so people tend to stay longer. You can embed them on your site. Google owns YouTube, so they can rank by themselves. YouTube is actually the second biggest search engine in the world. So many benefits to doing video. I heavily recommend video. I can't recommend it enough. There's so many different benefits to it. It's actually easier to create than an article. Maps. Okay, so first of all, this is where a lot of the changes over the last couple of years have been. If you take out maps, there's really not their algorithm has really not changed drastically. Yeah, there's like the hummingbird and stuff like that. But again, I really don't see the results of that. Even though in theory it should be a big change, the results of that to me don't end up being major changes in how things are ranked. And most of the time when I hear people talk about there's an algorithm, I'm like, what algorithm change? Or there's a big algorithm change. I'm like, what? Because my sites just stay ranking, or there's maybe a little bit of fluctuation here, and most of the time in the positive direction, sometimes in the negative, or just kind of like a mix up. Never really major. It's been a long time since I remember there being like, oh my God, one of my sites is just like, whoa, it's either completely gone up or completely gone down due to an algorithm change. I can always tie ups or downs to either good things or bad things happening. Okay, I want to point out though that with maps, there's a lot of weird stuff that is not common knowledge in our industry, and explaining that within the scope of this is just well outside the scope of this video. But just know there's a lot of stuff that you can do and there's a lot of misunderstanding here in terms of like, okay, where do you rank in the map? So in this example right here, maybe I can make this a little bigger. Plano, Texas plumber. Where do you rank in the maps for this? Well, it depends. It depends on where you're searching from. It depends on what kind of device you're searching from. It might even depend, I think in some cases, on the time of day that you search. Okay. And there's ways in which you would, I put it more of like your maps listing increasing the influence, or for like a client, increasing the influence that the maps listing has, as opposed to, oh, you rank the X for this search in the maps. That's not really the way it is. So there's a lot of misunderstanding there. There's a lot of weird stuff that you can do on your site and off your site with on-page and off-page to improve your maps listing. Okay, it's not just what you do inside the maps listing itself. And there's a lot of stuff that people aren't really. It's not really public knowledge, and even people well experienced with SEO that still don't know how to really rank a map. So there's stuff that they can do, and it works okay, but it doesn't like work really, really well, and they just kind of like do that stuff, and that's solid. Maybe it's good, but it's not really, really good, if that makes sense. So they see maybe some improvements, and they get a decent result, and then that's all they can do. I also want to point out how important this is for local businesses. This is what it would look like, I want to say 4 or 5 years ago. You could see, so this is the search, here's the ads. You have 7 maps results, and then you could see 5 non-maps organic results above the fold. Here, you have a bunch of ads. You have one organic, some people differentiate maps from organic. I think maps is a subset of organic. So I say maps organic and non-maps organic. But anyway, you have one maps organic result, and then you don't see anything else. And the effect is even stronger on the mobile device. So ranking in the maps for local businesses is becoming really, really important. And this is a super prominent listing, right? It really, really stands out. And most people don't click on ads. Anyway, okay, so that's a huge factor. And on page, as we talked about, is a huge factor. Off page is still a huge factor. They are moving more towards relevance, authority, and trust, and they've been gradually moving towards this over the last 3, 4, 5 years. And I think it's kind of misunderstood. What does it really mean for us? Especially relevance, I think, is really misunderstood. Authority is a little bit better understood, and I think trust is not well understood. It actually took me a while to kind of understand trust. At first, when I first encountered it, I was like, what? And it didn't really make sense, but these are 3 separate things, but correlated. And I know it spells rat, but I don't see major changes there, except for maybe going more and more towards relevance and authority, and relevance and trust, as opposed to authority was more of what it was based upon originally, and especially relevance above all. In long term, I see the maps maybe continuing to change and the ads, the way they do the ads, but overall I don't see major changes with how kind of like the core of their algorithm really hasn't. Again, if you take maps out, the core of their algorithm hasn't changed since like Panda Penguin days, and that is the last time I would say like major changes have happened to the algorithm. There are little tweaks here and there, and gradually things change. And they probably, like, since then, maybe the biggest non-maps change has been their higher focus on in the links, which is the off-page for relevance and trust. But they've been gradually moving that way. And I wouldn't call it like a sudden fundamental change. And again, I think they like where they're going. So in general, I'd say that the non-map stuff is not really going to change that dramatically suddenly. The map stuff could still change. They're still playing with it. They really like it when people spend time on their maps listings because they make more money, more like ad revenue because they're staying on their platform longer. Okay, I think I've talked enough. Thank you for listening. Please let me know if you have any thoughts or questions. Please leave a comment below and like this video. I do try to respond to all comments, maybe not right away, but as soon as I can. And so, feel free to leave a comment with any thoughts that you may have. And like and subscribe if you like this video. Also, you can get a free 7-figure SEO agency exit roadmap at ddd.link/7fig-roadmap. That's ddd.link/7fig-roadmap. And I'll put a link to that below, or you can just type it into your browser. Thank you very much, and have a great day. Bye.